The Yankees just did something they haven't done in over 2 months. They just won back-to-back series, and this time, they finally finished the job. Unlike the Minnesota Twins series, they got the sweep. A lot of it on the backs of one of our hottest hitters, and some are saying he has become one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. What's going on, guys? King of 161st, and I'm back to the video. And before we get to that, let's talk about some of the keys to this series, because this was one of the best series the Yankees have played in quite a while. Starting off with one of the obvious ones. When the Yankees run, they are very fun. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but it's true. Jazz was getting on base, and he was flying around those base paths. You had everyone stepping in. They're all stealing. This is the type of baseball that wins you games, especially against a team that has traded a bunch of their guys, a team that did not have their star catcher behind the plate, a team that has been decimated. This is how you take them out. Manufacturing runs in this way, it's huge. Just look at game 3. Jose Caballero in the 9th inning. Him beating out that ground ball and forcing the Cardinals to throw that away. Doing something that other teams do to us. Put them under pressure so that they make mistakes. This was probably the best series in terms of manufacturing runs without the home run. So this was an incredible series for that. And a couple players I want to shout out here. A few that were struggling. Jasson Dominguez had a great series. He didn't display the power, and that's one of the things I really want to see out of Jasson Dominguez throughout the end of the season. He was driving in runs. He was using both sides of the field. He had a very professional approach to this series, and I appreciated that a bunch because it was effective. When he's struggling, he's kind of getting too ahead of himself. He's not really reading counts. He's not putting the ball in play, striking out a bunch. At least now he's starting to get into that form where he's able to start making contact. Now we could start working into getting into some of that power that we know he has. But this was a great start for Jasson Dominguez. Paul Goldschmidt in game 3 looked like a different person. Went 3 for 5 in the game, had 2 doubles. One of them probably should have given him an RBI. Jazz had to hold up to see if it fell. But that is how Paul Goldschmidt needs to hit. And I know at this advanced stage of his career and with the second half that he's had, he's most likely more of a platoon option for the Yankees moving forward. But if we can get more flashes of this, then this season's going to be a lot smoother going forward. Because when Ben Rice is not playing, when we give Stanton a day off, we need one of those veterans to give us a punch. That's what Paul Goldschmidt can provide. Mostly as a lefty masher. In this final game of the series, he was doing it against right-handers. I don't think we're going to see that much, but it was huge for the moment. Wanted to shout him out. The main guy that really stepped up is Aaron Judge. Right after I made the video saying he did need to step up, he looked comfortable in the plate finally. Hit his first home run, but he also had a few fly balls out there that really got killed by the St. Louis wind. Whatever they did out there, that ballpark sucks when it comes to hitting for power. He had a few moments in the series that were really positive. And of course, Jazz might be my MVP of the series. Was able to supply the power in the first game with the home run. Then was able in game 3 to provide you with that speed. He was stealing bases left and right, getting the pitcher frustrated. On the Paul Goldschmidt double, part of that was getting the pitcher to keep focusing on him. Then Stoll on that double, dove into second, so he couldn't really get to home plate at that point, but eventually scored. Jazz had a great series. This was a collective team effort, but nobody had a bigger series than the main topic of this video, Ben Rice. Ben Rice hit 417 with a 533 on base and 833 slug, which adds out to a 1367 OPS. In game 2 of this series, when Max Fried completely shit the bed, we'll talk about him in a little bit if I get there. He's the one who saved the game, got the 3-run homer, kept the pressure on, was able to supply with 7 RBIs. Ben Rice all year has had extremely high moments. He's also a guy who his expected stats are so much better than his actual stats are. In fact, he has a 410 xWOBA with a 343 WOBA. That is a 67-point difference, meaning he is expected to be 67 points better at getting on base and supplying production than he's actually getting. He is one of the most unlucky hitters hitters in all of baseball. And now his luck is starting to turn around. And with his luck starting to turn around, you're starting to see him get the recognition as one of the best hitters in the American League. He is at second place in all of the American League in terms of hard hit rate. He hits the ball at a hard hit rate 55% plus. That is incredible. When you can hit the ball hard more than 55% of the time, you're going to get success. And Ben Rice has had moments in this season that have been extremely frustrating because you see that he's hitting the ball extremely hard and he's just not getting rewarded for it. Seems like he gets the Gold Glove defense every time he comes up to bat. But even with that, you look at his Baseball Savant page. It's one of the most beautiful things you'll see. Everything is red. Everything looks top tier. If Ben Rice can start to get a little bit more luck, if he could start getting a little bit more of what he deserved at the plate, there's a guy who's already giving you an 800 OPS with close to 20 home runs as the most unlucky hitter in all of baseball possibly. Once that luck starts to turn around, that 800 OPS may turn into 850, may turn into even 900. Those home runs will go up from 18 right now to possibly 30. Ben Rice is the type of hitter that can be a mainstay in the middle of this lineup for years and years to come, and might, in a couple years, be the best hitter in the American League. Anyways, those were the positives of this series. There were a couple negatives though. If you look at the way the pitching staff performed, Will Warren was able to fight, gave up too many long counts, did not go deep. Another positive that came from this is the bullpen did perform pretty well, especially in Game 3. They performed exceptionally well. Putting Devin Williams in low leverage situations seems to be helping him tremendously. He's had a few straight performances of 0 earned runs. Luis Gil had the same thing as Will Warren. Not perfect, but he looked pretty good. Was able to get a string of like 4 to 5 double plays in a row. It was actually pretty fucking impressive how well he was able to get out of certain situations. But then you get to Max Fried. What the hell happened to our ace? This is a guy who was second in the Cy Young running and was actually competing with Tarek Skubal. Some people were actually having the conversation. Does Max Fried deserve it over Tarek Skubal? Now you look at it, you're asking, where the hell did this guy go? 7 runs on Saturday against a team that doesn't score runs. For some reason, he's throwing more of this cutter than his straight fastball. His curveball has looked atrocious. It's either out of the zone or it is hanging right into a hitter's wheelhouse. There is no in between with his curveball. His command has looked shaky at best. His break on his pitches is looking shaky at best. He cannot get a complete start ever since the month of July hit. His last 7 starts, he has a 6.94 ERA in 35 innings. Unacceptable. If the Yankees want to go to where they want to go, which is going back to the World Series and having a different result, they are going to need a lot more out of the guy that they paid to be an ace. They may not have expected him to be an ace this early in his tenure as a Yankee, but they paid him like an ace. And with Garrett Cole being out, he is the ace. An ace cannot give you a 7 ERA over 7 games. An ace cannot provide a 1.71 whip. That is completely and utterly unacceptable. The Yankees are heading to Tampa Bay before they go into one of the most important series of the entire season that could shape out exactly what the playoff picture looks like. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. If you're new here, hit that sub button. A lot of good came from this series, but still a lot of things that need to be worked on. Hopefully they could start righting the ship before this amazing opportunity against their biggest rival. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.